What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? It's Dan here from Cryonoir. So 2018 E3 has come to an end, and I thought I would go through all of the major players' showcases and just sort of give my general opinions and takes on everything as it went through. I wasn't really totally psyched for E3 this year, but the more it went on, certainly some of the showcases, I was getting pretty stoked about some of this stuff. I've left it, a week to kind of, really kind of get my head around it all and to rewatch a couple of the showcases and some of the trailers I've watched numerous times to get some more insight into them, shall we say. And yeah, I thought, right, now that time has sort of settled and I've really started to digest it all and everything, I thought it was time to do a video. So it's going to be fairly lengthy, as you can imagine, because I'm going to go through all the major players. So it's like EA, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Square Enix, Ubisoft as well. So it's going to be a decent length. I'm going to put some timestamps down below. So if you want to skip through to one that you're particularly interested in, then it'll be down there in the description so you can see that. So buckle up, grab a brew or a beer or whatever your poison is, and sit back and let's have a look at this. So E3 2018 did not really get off to a brilliant start with EA, it has to be said. This was a particularly poor presentation on the whole. We started out with the weird kind of alternate reality kind of thing for Anthem, where it comes out the screen and everything. That was fine, I guess. And then we get an intro from this chick here, which I don't know. I'm sure people might know who she is or something. I think she's a YouTuber or something. And again, she did an okay job. She wasn't too bad. She was fine. But, that was sort of the intro done and dusted. And then we were straight on to Battlefield 5. Now, I'm happy to see that Battlefield 5 has now sort of returned to the World War II setting. They also went on about how there was no sort of loot boxes and no premium pass or anything like that. So, whoop whoop there. And yeah, it was just okay. I don't know, I've introduced a Battle Royale mode that everyone's kind of talked about, and I really couldn't care less, to be honest. So, it is just a bit of a case of it sort of definitely smacks of desperation jumping on the bandwagon there for the old Battle Royale mode, and it's going to it's going to have its own Battlefield twist, whatever that means. So yay. And then we got, just a very lengthy cinematic trailer. But it looks pretty good. It has to be said, the Frostbite engine is really looking good, and I definitely liked the destructibility of the environments, which has always been a feature of the Frostbite engine, but they really do seem to have kind of ramped that up now. So that was good to see. And then it was on to EA's Golden Goose, which was FIFA 19. I've made my feelings about FIFA known on numerous occasions. And yeah, we got they're introducing the Champions League and stuff, which is marvelous. And yeah, so that's a thing. And then this random geezer and girl came out, and they did some sort of very, very stilted presentation. There was very, very corporate, very, very, very sort of forced, and it has to be said that was kind of EA's motto all the way through, was just corporate spiel and very forced and just a very kind of stilted, shall we say. And then they also mentioned that there was the World Cup going on, and until I saw that in E3, I was completely unaware that the World Cup was about to happen. I was just living under a rock. So that's the thing. Was there anything else really? Oh yeah, and then there was a really, really awkward moment where they were going on about how there was you could download and play the game now and do a free trial for free right now, and he was just like he sort of did this kind of thing, and it was where he sort of revealed that, and then there was just this weird little pause where
you can download and play the entire game right now for free.
Yeah. Just nobody applauded. They just sat there, just kind of like, oh. And then it was like there was kind of a few people like, whoa, and then everyone was like, oh, all right, yeah, okay, we'll applaud that, whatever. And it was quite cringeworthy. It was very, very cringeworthy. And after that, we had the cool dad himself, Andrew Wilson, come out and just constantly spew corporate bullshit at us basically all the way through. And he started going on about sort of cloud gaming and subscriptions and all that kind of stuff, which is, I always feel very, very unnerved by the whole thing, shall we say. And then some sort of premium pass as well for their online services, and blah 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 blah. And yeah, just the worst line in it was the benefits and joys of subscription.
The benefits and joys of subscription. Come in and play a free trial of Origin Access, our base subscription, this weekend.
So it sounded very much like a march across Poland, shall we say? So then we had a very, very iffy interview with Vince Zambella from Respawn. And, you know, he's there kind of teasing this new Jedi game, this new Star Wars game called Jedi Fallen Order. And it was very vague. There was very little details and stuff. So that sort of leads me to believe it's very, very early on in its development cycle. But I mean, this all the way through, this guy just had such dead eyes. Like, I mean, it was just like the way he was looking at this girl. It was really kind of sort of almost like heartbreaking. It was just like so unchuffed about where he was and what was going on and stuff. I mean, just look at this. Andrew Wilson has my children. Help me. So yeah, all in all, not good. And then we got Battlefront 2 as well. Again, really quite terrible. He was going on about, you know, they've been listening to players and they've been doing this, and you know they didn't get it right, but they're going to work to make games that people want. So they've added Ewoks. Just you just say, oh, wicked, marvelous, Ewoks, great. That was exactly what was wrong with it. We didn't have enough Ewoks. So they also launched, you know, some sort of new heroes and villains. You're getting sort of Grievous and Dooku, and you're getting Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. But, you know, I always kind of thought Anakin Skywalker was a bad guy, but, you know, okay, fair enough. And then they've also added sort of a Starfighters bit as well, which looked okay, I guess. And some sort of squad system messing around and everything. But again, what with the damage that's been done so far, adding some Ewoks and a couple of other sort of characters to play to it, I honestly don't think this is going to save the game. And I think this is very much a case of just keep it churning, try and make anything out of it that they can, just so they can abandon it and go on to something else at some point soon. It's very much this kind of games as a service kind of motif, you know, where you just keep playing and churning content out. So after that, we bounced into a trailer of Unravel 2, and it has to be said, this is a ridiculously pretty game. It really is. It is pretty, and I did like kind of the co-op play sort of feel to it. It had the good line about this is a game all about new starts and new chances and the such like that. And I was like, yeah, EA, yeah, you need that. You really do need that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it looks like a very pretty kind of puzzle platformer and everything, and you know, it was cool. It was okay. I mean, not gobsmacking, but you know, that was good. That was okay. And then this dude came out and started talking about EA Originals, about all the indie developers that they've been helping, everything. And the first thing that really bugged me about this, and I know it's probably just a very superficial thing, but he was doing that fake politician point that they do, you know, with like the half finger thing, where it's like, it just, I find it really creepy, really, really creepy. Ever since I heard that, like, that's what his spin doctors were telling Tony Blair to do and all that. And every time I see it, I'm just like, it's just like, it's the most kind of ungenuine kind of creepy ass thing I could possibly imagine. Just that kind of, you know, I'm making a forceful point, but I don't want to come across as controversial, and I don't want to come across as confrontational, but I want to be strong. And it's just all so corporate, just so kind of forced and politician-y, and just it makes my skin crawl. All right, this by far was their standout moment, was Sea of Solitude. We had like this German lady came on, who's a developer, and sort of told this story about like kind of loneliness, and about how the game was all sort of reflecting how you know, like you if you let loneliness take over you, it consumes you and you become a monster like the character in the game. And just all the way through, I was just like, I was like, wow, all right, okay, this is someone that like genuinely cares about a product that they've made, and that's something, a story that they want to tell, and it seemed like a really personal piece. And like this, she just came across as someone that really does give a shit, and it was like a really moving sort of presentation, and it was absolutely spectacular. It was the best thing of EA's entire lineup. And then it was just goes to show just kind of how cynical EA is. Or just how fucking out all over the fucking shop they are. They're like they went from this really deep kind of sort of personal story and this personal developer that really gives a shit, and then literally just as she'd finished talking and the thing had finished, we went from that straight to this.
Yeah, I'm the one. But I'm not the only one. We are the one.
Just utter dog shit. It's like, I am the one, and all. It was just like, I'm sure the NBA Live games are brilliant and everything, but it was just so tonally awkward the way they went from the way they went from this really personal story to this just obscene thing. And then we went over to Madden 19, and they had like a trailer for it, and again, Frostbite looking absolutely marvelous. And then we went over to, I'm not sure if it was the most awkward thing, but certainly one of the most awkward things in the presentation was the NFL player, whoever that was, some sort of Madden champion or something, who plays it, and then just, it was so awkward having them two on stage, and just cringe, just really bad cringe.
Young Kev.
It's
There you go. We're out here chasing money. That's awesome.
Oh, we went straight from that little cringe fest to, I think actually, this was slightly more cringy, even more awkward. Was they was doing this new mobile game that was, and it was all sort of very confusing, and they were coming on, and there was literally just no applause at all.
Make some noise for In Control.
Yes.
Please join me in welcoming to the stage Nick at Night.
And these two presenters just going on about how excited they were, and how this was really exciting to see. And then we get shown this kind of weak ass chuffing kind of strategy player mobile game that's just really kind of uninspired and not hugely interesting, and just generally nobody cares. And then at the end they just smack on the fact, they go, oh, by the way, this is a Command and Conquer game. It's just like, oh dear God, the RTS scene has had such a rough ride, and I'm aware it's become a niche thing now. I get that. The Command and Conquer had its day, and it was huge, and and StarCraft and all that kind of everything. And it has sort of, I won't say died off, but it's certainly stepped away from the kind of the mainstream. They're nowhere near as big as they used to be. But to see one of the greats like this, and it's big new launch. I can't remember the last time a Command and Conquer came out, so this is presumably the first game in a number of years, shall we say. And it's a chuffing mobile game. And it's just like, oh dear God, this is so sad. And this is EA all the way through. They have no kind of sanctity for sort of history or anything like that. All they can think of is how can we spin this to make money? And they just gut a franchise and then just chuck it on mobile. And oh my God, it's so sad, so depressing. And back comes Andrew Wilson again now with some more drivel, just going on about sort of choices, and mostly about how we're going to get bummed by EA. He wants us to feel like we've been treated fairly, and invest and value and reward, and it was all this kind of CEO in front of a boardroom speak that was just really painful to hear, and it did not give any sort of sign that these guys were like, passionate about games. It was literally, it's a company, and it just so happens that they make games. It could just be that he was stood in front of like a load of people at a conference about fucking concrete or toilet paper or, just fucking toner cartridges or anything. It was so kind of corporate and just so uninteresting and just trivial, and this was a really weak showing for EA, and it was a very weak start to E3, it has to be said. So, and then we jump into EA's answer to Destiny, which is Anthem. Yay. There's a downfall of BioWare continues. There's their EA-ification, we'll call it. I don't know, I need to come up with a better term for it than that. But their consumption by the EA machine continues. So, yeah, it was... I don't know. It's like a single player and a multiplayer at the same time, and it felt very much like a new IP by the numbers. It kind of looks okay, I guess. I'm just not really super stoked by this whatsoever. And yeah, I think maybe I've just lost all faith in BioWare ever since they got consumed by EA. So it was a thing, and that was pretty much their entire conference. And it was weak. It was really weak. If I was to summarize Microsoft's presentation in like one word, it would be massive. That's probably a shit word. But there was so much content. I'm not going to be able to really give that much any justice, because there was so much. It was jam packed. They did a really good job. I'll be honest with you, I was very impressed with the Microsoft presentation. So I will just run through it a bit as quickly as I can, just because otherwise we will be here all day if I talk about everything in depth. So first of all, we got Halo Infinite. This is a really cool looking trailer. It kind of made me think sort of almost of the first Halo, where you crash after the ship gets attacked or whatever, when you're very first introduced to the game. And that was very cool. That looks really, really good and sort of enjoyable. Then we were straight on to Phil Spencer with he's going to show us what Creativity Unleashed means for everyone. But when he came out, he was sort of very, very kind of natural and very relaxed, and he didn't come across anywhere near as sort of corporate as EA did. So that was very good. He was very, very kind of chilled. We went straight from that into Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Again, a very pretty game. Ori and the Blind Forest was very pretty, and it was a very, very good game. And this looks to be continuing this on as well. This looks like a very, very good game. And Ori and the Blind Forest was brilliant, and I have every suspicion that this will be just as good. So this was very, very cool to see. Very, very pleased to see that. That was quickly followed by Shakira, Shadows Die Twice. And this looks very, very cool. It's from Software. So I don't know how you say that. From Software, the people that did Dark Souls, and it's from them. And this looked very, very cool as well. They're going for the whole kind of samurai kind of thing rather than the sort of the knights, as it were. So that looks very, very good. Again, I have every reason to believe that the people behind Dark Souls and Bloodborne and they're going to be able to make this really, really cool. And it looks visually stunning. So this is another game to really kind of think, oh, well, I look forward to this. This looks quite cool. After that, we had Todd Howard from Bethesda coming out, and again, very, very chilled, very, very cool. Didn't come off too much like a cool dad. He was just very, very pleased to be there. Even when he had his horrific joke about about Phil Spencer having lots of friends and wow and all, even those really kind of cringeworthy jokes, he still managed to kind of hold it together, and so that was very, very cool. And then he was there to sort of preview Fallout 76. We've heard a lot about this now, the setting in West Virginia, and, it was a really good trailer. I did like the actual look of it. The more I've sort of found out about the game, the less kind of excited I am about it. I really don't. In fact, I'm not even excited at all, I would say. I don't really... don't really want a multiplayer of Fallout, if I'm honest with you. But again, we will have to see. If any company's going to pull it off, it's Bethesda. There's a solid chance they could still do a very good job with this. And if that's your thing, then more power to you. You'll definitely, you're definitely in good hands, it would say. But we will just have to see with that one. So it may either end up being amazing or it might not. That was followed up by Captain Spirit by Square Enix, which was kind of like a schmaltzy kind of indie movie almost. I really don't know what they're doing with this, what it's going to be or anything. It was interesting enough, I guess. Like a little kid with like an imagination and doing crazy things like that. So, it has potential, but we've got no idea of any sort of hints on what gameplay is going to be and what's actually going to happen in the game and how it's going to play out. It may be kind of like a bit of a sort of a choose your own adventure kind of style, interactive movie kind of game sort of thing. But, that's fine. If that's people sing, that's people singing. It seemed fairly cool. Seemed all right. That was followed up by Crackdown 3. Oh, all right, okay, that was really disappointing. Crackdown 3, it's just trying so hard. I think they know it's got a lot riding on it because it's they're going to be one of their killer apps, and it just screamed of trying too hard, and it was all flash and glitz and blah, and I was just really not hugely impressed by that. I haven't actually played any of the other Crackdowns. I've got 2 of them, Crackdown 1 and 2 for the 360, and I should already give them a go at some point, but this really did not make me want to jump in, it has to be said. We then got an announcement of Nier Automata coming to the Xbox, which is very, very good. I know a lot of people on Xbox have been wanting to see that. It was a real star hit on the PS4 over the last year, I think it was, and that's got a lot of good praise. So it's good to see that that's coming to the Xbox. So that should be a good little port there. Now the next one really kind of got me hooked. Metro Exodus. Now that just looks amazing, and it was really good to have like a Massive Attack, their track Angel, like as the music for it, and that whole trailer screamed class. That really did scream like a AAA heavy hitting title. That looks amazing. And there's all the weather effects and all the creatures and the atmosphere. It was just dripping. It looks amazing. It looks really, really good. So that's probably going to be one that ends up getting a good cut of looking at when it comes out. After the amazing Metro, we had Phil Spencer came out and he sort of dribbled on for a little while. But again, nothing of any major merit. He was in and out of this quite a lot, and every time he'd sort of bob out, say some cool things about how amazing Xbox is and we're working really hard, blah blah blah, and then off he top, and then we just get another barrage of games. Next up we got Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I've never really got the Kingdom Hearts thing. If it's your thing, it's your thing. That's fine. But I've never really got into it. I don't get it. I'll be honest with you. One thing that was definitely noticed on this one was that the audio was really off. It was not well synced up at all. It's like you had the music track and then like samples of the voiceover from the game, but with no other sound. It just really jarring. Hey, listen to this.
Hark! In a kingdom of thieves.
Look out!
People who say.
So that was, kind of that was a thing. Again, I'm sure lots of people will be excited for Kingdom Hearts, but I'm not one of them. Speaking of not being excited for something, next up we have Sea of Thieves. They dragged that out and they talked about things that they were adding and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't care. Really don't care. And then we got another repeated trailer for Battlefield 5. So yeah, that's fine. We've already seen that. We've already had a look at that. So, I guess that's just for people that weren't at EA or who'd fallen asleep at EA. Although, it was fairly early on, but, there's a solid chance they might have fallen asleep and missed that. We've got Forza Horizon 4. Wow. Okay. Now, I really liked the look of this. And it's set in Britain. Yay! Which is good. Very, very good. And they went on about how it's got all different seasons and things like that. So that was very, very cool. And also, it had well, two of my favorite cars in anyway. It kind of had like the US Racing trophy truck things. I also had an MGB GT in it in the trailer as well. So I was like, oh, good, well done, marvelous. After that, we had We Happy Few, which, you know, damn, that's a good looking game. That's very kind of sort of made me think of sort of BioShock meets A Clockwork Orange. It's again really dripping with atmosphere. I know there's been like a lot of sort of garbage spoken about this over the past year or two about how it was an indie title, and then suddenly they were going to do some things with, you know, sort of pre-orders and some other DLC issues and that. And I know a few people have been a little scathing on it. But I honestly think this is definitely shaping up to be something worth watching and certainly something to jump into. We will have to see, obviously, when it comes out, but it was certainly this trailer certainly, you know, made me think more about this could be a very, very good game. And we got PUBG Warzone, which, you know, great. I wasn't entirely sure what that was all about, but, you know, it's PUBG, so that's more of that. Then we got like a cool little sort of anime fighter type thing, I guess, or some sort of RPG sort of thing called Tales of Vesperia. I'm sure that probably means something to a lot of people. It doesn't really mean anything to me. But yeah, it looked very good. It looked okay. It looked very interesting. So, you know, that might very well keep an eye on that one. I generally aren't a fan of these kind of sort of JRPG style sort of games. It's not really my thing, but you know, I know it is for a lot of other people, and this certainly looked pretty stunning, it has to be said. Certainly the artwork and all the things that were on display there looked really, really cool. Then after that, we had one of the weakest things in the Microsoft demonstration, and that was a scripted multiplayer kind of thing for the Division 2. Now, I hate these sort of scripted multiplayer things where you have like actors saying, you know, talking over live chat, but they're like trying to role play at the same time, and it just always comes off as really cringy, really sort of scripted. They just always suck. They always suck. And I don't know why developers use them and why they put them up there, because they're absolutely awful. They're always god awful. And every time I'm watching one, I'm just like, oh, for the love of God. It was really poor. The game itself looked okay. The game itself looked quite interesting and didn't really get into the Division 1. So I don't know if I'll give this one a go. But certainly this scripted demo did not really entice me to go and pick it up. I was just like, oh God, no, I hate these kind of things. Then Ashley Spiker came out. I'm sure she's important. And she came out and started talking about Game Pass and Fast Start and all these other kind of things. And you know, it seems to be a way that they've been tracking gamers and then using it to kind of work out what they're going to play, you know, have on the Game Pass for people. She started talking an awful lot about algorithms and machine learning and all that kind of stuff. And I guess maybe because I spend a lot of time on YouTube, whenever people start talking about algorithms and machine learning for predicting what people want and predicting the things for people to interact with, I'm always very wary, always very, very skeptical about that. She came across as a little kind of a little wooden as well, and possibly maybe a little terrified. But all in all, I mean, it doesn't really affect me at all whatsoever. After that, we had Shadows of the Tomb Raider, which, oh god, no. It just takes itself far too seriously, these games. I will talk more about this with the video from Square Enix. But yeah, this really didn't inspire me whatsoever. They just seem to be so serious, but yet so devoid of any kind of real kind of message or content or anything like that. And they just come across as taking themselves way too seriously. So I really enjoyed the first of the Tomb Raider reboots. The second one looked like a bit sort of more of the same, so I never really gave that one much of a go. And I sort of looked at this one and like, no, I think I'll probably step away from this one and all. Then something very different, a game called Sessions, which appears to be a skateboarding game. with the exception of the last flop that was Tony Hawk, which was, definitely a cash grab and was pretty terrible. This is the first skateboard game in a while that's kind of that I can think of. So I'm sure there has been plenty that have been sort of that I've just not been aware of, but it was quite a surprise for me to have this sort of on an E3 sort of standing on a showcase. So I was very pleased to see that. I was like, oh wow, wicked! All right, a skate game. That's very cool. A skate, that's good. Then after that, we had a game called Black Desert, I think it was, and yeah, it looked sort of fairly interesting. I thought, okay, I might be interested in this, until I saw the fact that it was an MMORPG, and then I was like, okay, so no longer interested. So, but I don't doubt lots of people will be, and it looked very, very good. It did look okay, so that was cool. And then we got a wicked trailer, an absolutely amazing trailer for Devil May Cry 5. That was pretty intense. That was very cool. The Devil May Cry games have always been pretty fun and schlocky, and it looks as though they're continuing on with that little theme. That looked very, very, very cool. Very, very enjoyable. So yeah, that's good to see. Good to see another Devil May Cry game. And it was very cool to have Matt Walker and Hideaki Itsuna. I'm sorry if I butchered his name there. It was very cool to have them on the stand, and they were very, very cool. And you could tell they were very passionate about it as well. So it's very cool to see the return of Devil May Cry, and these two guys can, really seem to give a shit about this. I think this is one of the crucial things that the Xbox thing came across. They actually all seem to actually give a shit about what they were doing, rather than trying to push something. After that, we had what appears to be some sort of expansion for Cuphead. Cuphead was the indie darling of last year, so that was very good to see that there's some more mileage out of that one. And then we had Tunic, and oh my god, is this a pretty game? It's kind of like a kind of an old style sort of Zelda sort of RPG by the looks of it, from a sort of isometric sort of thing, and all in 3D where Link is a fox, and wow, this looks absolutely amazing. I looked really impressed by this. I love the look of this. And then I found out that it was just one single developer. I was just like, oh good god. God damn, does that make me feel? Does that make me feel like I suck? But yeah, Tunic. Wow, that looked very, very cool. Very, very cool indeed. Then we had another game which, to my mind, looked like a Dragon Ball Z game, but it appears to be Jump Force. I'm sure that means something to some of you. But yeah, it was very, very, very glitzy and very sparkly and stuff. And again, that's fine if you're into that sort of thing. But yeah, no, I wasn't hugely excited by that, but I was certainly it was engaging. It was enjoyable to watch. So let's put it that way. It was a good presentation, all in all. And after that, we got Dying Light 2. Again, real pushing the kind of the choices and the consequences in this one. It was very interesting. I quite liked the sort of idea of it, and sort of the branching paths. But that's nothing particularly new, but I think it is quite new to the franchise. And it was presented by some guy that looked like Jim Belushi. But that was cool, and it did look very interesting. It has to be said, it did look very interesting. I know Rob at the minute is getting well into Dying Light 1, so I might give that a cut looking at. I just generally don't like zombie games, I think, which I think I'm the only person in the world that doesn't like zombie games, but this did look quite cool. The parkour all looked very, very good, and to be honest, visually it did look stunning. It looked very, very good. It's stunning. I had to double take this, it has to be said. We appear to be getting a Battletoads game. Battletoads. Like, dear God, wow, a Battletoads game. I can't... since the Super Nintendo, I can't really think of a Battletoads game, maybe. I don't know if there was any on the PlayStation or not. But wow, a Battletoads game. Sure, why not? Yeah, okay, sign me up. I'll give that a bash. And then we got Just Cause 4. I'll be honest, by this point, I was getting pretty exhausted. The Microsoft presentation was really fast and really, really heavy. You know what I mean? It was constantly game after game after game after game. And there was some really exciting stuff. So when Just Cause 4 came along, it was a little bit side of boom, bang, boom, wow. And I was like, do you know what? I've kind of had enough of this now. I mean, yeah, I don't know. The weather system looks pretty cool and all that kind of stuff. I've never really got into the Just Cause games. I know Just Cause 3 turned out to be very popular. So, I will have to see what's going on with this, see if there's something really worth looking into. But, it was a very, very bang bang, thank you ma'am kind of trailer, which, was cool. That's all very well and good. Then we just got a cinematic for Gears of War 5, and wow, okay. Yes, that was a very, very good-looking cinematic, it has to be said. There was obviously a lot of plot stuff going on that I don't doubt means a lot to a lot of people, but unfortunately doesn't mean anything to me, because I've never played any of the Gears of War. I need to. I've managed to grab all of them bar one, or certainly about 3 or 4 of them, I think. So I do need to get into the Gears of War, because they are a huge staple franchise. And yeah, it has to be said, that did look very, very good and very interesting. It's, the visuals were pretty much one of the best visuals of the whole thing. So they were very, very good, very, very impressive. And then that was kind of about it for the whole presentation, or so we thought. Phil Spencer came out and started dribbling on about sort of streaming and new Xbox hits and how they were, working for the gamer and everything. And, just when you kind of thought it was all done and it was all done and dusted, to me, the highlight of the whole show, and in fact, the highlight of E3 entirely, just like CD Projekt Red just come in with like some sort of weird like hack thing, and it is very staged. It was obviously very staged, and they knew it was going to happen. It was a cool neat little idea. But yeah, just like when people started to realize what it was, kind of the cheers in the crowd and stuff, and I was on the edge of my seat. I was just like, oh my god, I'm so stoked for Cyberpunk 2077. I even made a video as soon as I saw it. I'm just like, yeah, that's it. So all in all, the Microsoft presentation was pretty fucking unbeatable, it has to be said. It was very, very good. There was an awful lot of games in there. They showed a lot of very cool titles that were really, really shaping up to be pretty goddamn good. So it has to be said, an excellent job by Xbox. All the guys on there, Phil Spencer and the whole team, they all really did put on a good show. I enjoyed every minute of it, and there was a lot of really good games there. And just to end it on Cyberpunk 2077, I mean, that was a real treat. Was that? I genuinely really loved the Xbox showing at E3 this year. It was very, very strong, very good. Bethesda were third up on the roster, and it has to be said they had a fairly strong opening. It was just like an intro all about the sort of different people that work for Bethesda, and how they all contribute to create this unique gaming like experience and stuff. And that was all very good. That was pretty cool. I mean, it is what it is. And then Pete Hines comes out, and he was just very chilled out, very, very sort of informal, like less corporate than EA and all that kind of stuff. And he was just very chilled out, just seemed to be very happy to be there. And the whole setup just seemed to be an awful lot more kind of intimate and sort of smaller, and just generally sort of like a kind of a chilled out sort of thing. It was in the round as well, so everyone could see both sides of it. It was very, very cool. I mean, they were even making jokes about sort of Walmart when he went on to the first game. He was like, we present along with Walmart of Canada, and that was a really cool little joke. So I mean, even the jokes were like pretty cool. So we started off with Rage 2, and that actually started with Andrew WK just desperately trying to stay relevant and playing something, one of his songs, which is on the theme tune or something, I guess. I don't know. And then Tim Wiltz and Magnus Nedforce, or however it's pronounced, they came up there with sort of the lead designers and developers on Rage 2. And they were wicked. It was like watching something out of the Muppets. It was so cool. They both seemed to be like having a whale of a time and totally happy. It was just a very, very good sort of strong presentation from them.
They delivered big time.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Like, with Rage 2, like, I quite like the idea that it's an asteroid that's caused all the thing rather than just a human war, so that was quite cool. We saw some what was supposedly gameplay, but, you know, I'm not necessarily buying that. It looked very, very pre-rendered to me. But, I mean, it looks fun. You can tell it's definitely done in the same sort of Doom engine, and it looked like a bit kind of like a cross between sort of Bulletstorm and Fallout, so, you know, that's okay. Probably not really going to be on my radar. And then we got some more stuff about Elder Scrolls Legends, which is sort of a card game. So yeah, with the upped graphics and done other things like that. But I'm not really into sort of card games and stuff, so that didn't really appeal to me. And then we had Matt Thyroid, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, he came on and he talked a little bit about Elder Scrolls Online. Sort of they're adding things like Murkmire, which is, you know, in Black Marsh, and, you know, Wolf Hunter and things. So they're adding some more stuff to Elder Scrolls Online, kind of keeping that trucking along, which is, you know, that'll be fine for all the people that like that. Then we also got Doom Eternal, which, you know, kind of looks like a sequel, I guess. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's an outright sequel. I'm guessing it could be, but, you know, it looked okay. They said there was like twice as many demons in it as what they had in the other ones. So yeah, that was quite cool. Okay, then we got Quake Champions. That's launching some sort of new features, and it's going to be free to play, and you can sort of you can go and demo that sort of now. And again, I wasn't hugely excited by this. I have to say, it did it looked very free to play. If I'm brutally honest with you, I know it's supposed to be an alpha or whatever, but it did definitely look like a free to play title, which, you know, it's not brilliant. Then we have the developers of Prey coming on, and they talked about 3 new modes that they've added into it, sort of the Moon Crash DLC, and then a really interesting one, which is Typho Hunter, which is kind of a sort of an interesting little idea where it's like a 1 versus 5. One player is like a regular player versus 5 mimics. So there's like a cool little asymmetric gameplay going on there. That might be good fun and might be worth checking out. So that's good. I always like to see sort of asymmetric gaming. So we'll just have to see if they can make it work a little bit better than Evolve did. Then we got sort of just an announcement that Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, is coming to Switch. So yay for Switch players, I guess. And then there was another sort of Wolfenstein game which is called Young Blood, which is a co-op. They're supposed to be twins of Blazkowicz, that's it. They're twins of Blazkowicz, and it's sort of set in the 80s in Paris. Not really much to go on. And then they also started talking about Wolfenstein and Prey coming to VR as well. So, I mean, these were all fairly sort of solid things. Nothing sort of spectacular or major. They all seem to be kind of spin-off titles. No sort of definite sequels or direct sequels, but there was, you know, some good stuff there. So then Todd Howard comes back out, and just the wicked little skit about like Skyrim being put on Alexa and also having it on a refrigerator and things like that. It's really funny because literally that day, the day that I saw this, I'd been talking about it with a guy at work, and I'd been sort of going on about how there was I think there's still a calculator in Taiwan that doesn't have Skyrim ported to it, and then literally that night they made the same joke. I was like, oh wow, okay, fair enough. You know, that's pretty cool. And then we went straight from there to Fallout 76. So, you know, we talked about this briefly before. You know, they filled in a few more details. You know, it's supposed to be 4 times the size of Fallout 4, so Fallout 16, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, 76. The landscape does look ace, it has to be said. It's cool that they've tapped into a lot of the sort of local folklore and myths like Mothman, you know, of sort of West Virginia. So that's very, very cool as well. And yeah, like I say, we will just have to see what kind of happens on with Fallout Online, as it kind of is. I mean, all the way through, Todd Howard was just so chilled out and just really, really cool with the fans. And he was he was making jokes about how buggy their games can be from start, and you know, sometimes things just don't work and everything. It was really good. It has to be said, it was a very good presentation. And then we got the special edition suit with the T-51 helmet as well for Fallout. So that's gonna get sold. I can see Rob parting with a lot of cash to get that. They also said that we're getting Fallout Shelter coming to PS4 and Switch, which, is fine. I mean, I played Fallout Shelter when it came out for, I put a good bit of time into that. I mean, it was okay. It was a good little time sink. Nothing too revolutionary there. Speaking of sort of on phones and everything, there's this Elder Scrolls Blades that's coming to iOS and Android. That did look really quite interesting. I mean, really good visuals for on a phone, definitely. And and again, this is a free-to-play title, and I was like, all right, this could be interesting. This could be really good. So I might have to check that out, definitely. And then we got a very quick flash up of Starfield, and he said it was a next-gen title, so, kind of hinted that there's going to be a PS5 coming soon, or an Xbox, I don't know how they're going to call it, Xbox 2, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so he's teasing that there's going to be those, and then we don't really have anything else to go on with Starfield. And then he started talking about the next game after that, which is going to be Elder Scrolls 6. And again, we don't know anything about this other than the fact that it's going to have mountains and things in it. So that's about it. But the kind of telling thing is, if we're on about Starfield being for the next generation of consoles, and Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be after that, then clearly that means that this console won't have had an Elder Scrolls for it, this generation. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know how true that's going to be though. I mean, all in all, it was a very good presentation from Bethesda. I mean, not a huge amount of revelations in there that I was totally stoked about or excited about. I think it's too far off to get excited about the new Elder Scrolls game. It's probably going to be out in another 4 years or something, 3 or 4 years. And same with Starfield, and none of the other games really kind of grabbed me. But just overall, it was just a very good presentation. It was good fun. They seemed to be enjoying it, and that was good fun. And it was it was good. It was all right. So after the good presentation from Bethesda, we got to Ubisoft. Now, if I was to describe the Ubisoft presentation in one word, it would be schizophrenic, because this was just all over the place. Like, just the tone was up and down, the colour, everything about it was just all over the place. This was not an enjoyable experience, it has to be said. I mean, the intro, a whacking great intro for Just Dance 2019. And, that took altogether way too long with, outside bits filmed with the pandas, and just went on and on. And, I showed it to, Gemma, and, she was just sat there at the beginning, kind of with this furrowed brow and, a dropped jaw going, what is this? It was just not good. After that, we got Beyond Good and Evil 2. Now, it's a pretty cool looking trailer, it has to be said. Now, I've not played the original Beyond Good and Evil, so I don't really have any sentimental value to this or any backstory or anything like that. But, and I am aware of it being supposedly a very good game. This trailer, I was like, okay, this is very interesting. We don't sort of have any kind of solid gameplay or anything like that. It looked okay. It didn't look too bad at all. It looked fairly interesting. And then the developers came up and sort of talked about some more gubbins about what they were doing, and that they were going to have sort of a pre-alpha gameplay footage, and they sort of showed some of that, but again, how much of that is actual gameplay footage, it all still looked fairly pre-rendered to me. And Ubisoft does have a history, shall we say, of graphical downgrades from E3 to what actually gets released, but it seems okay. What was a little odd was then after that, Joseph Gordon-Levitt came on to talk about Hit Record. Now, I don't really know how I feel about this. Basically, the idea is that, artists and sort of musicians and everything like that can all collaborate and then add things and put things in for them to sort of consider to add to the game and actually have them in the game world of Beyond Good and Evil 2. And I was just like, all right, at first I was like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. And then, my more cynical brain kicked in, and it's like, all right, so now not only are we sort of paid beta testers by getting like sort of beta releases to play test and stuff. We're now also like unpaid environmental artists as well, because they want us to make all of the art assets and some of the music for it. I was like, yeah, just slightly cynical about that. It has to be said. So, but you know, I mean, maybe it's not that. But yeah, very, very cool little thing at the end was where they fucked up with the mics, and like literally they walked off stage and like carried on jabbering, and that came through the trans feed as well, which is quite cool. So after that, we got Rainbow Six Siege as well, and apparently 35 million players have been playing that game or are playing that game. And I have a distinct feeling that's a number plucked out of his ass, because as with most games, they have like a very large uptake in the first couple of weeks or first week or so, and then they always drop down very, very significantly. I find it very hard to believe that that's still concurrently getting 35 million players. If it was, it would be the #1 game globally, and it's not. So I think that's very much a plucked out of the air. I think it's probably 35 million times it's been launched or something daft like that. But you know, they've got like the Rainbow Six Majors and the Pro League coming on, and talked a lot about esports for it and everything. And I was like, all right, okay, that's fine. You know, I know a fair few people have got a lot of fun out of that game, so you know, it's more bully for them. Oh, and then at the end of that, we got a trailer for a documentary called Another Mindset, which is about sort of professional esport players who play Rainbow Six Siege. So, you know, it's just a bit odd going from, you know, sort of the big psychedelic Just Dance thing to suddenly, you know, Beyond Good and Evil and all that kind of stuff, then to Rainbow Six Siege. It was just all didn't seem to kind of flow. And then we went from there to Trials Rising. And the dude coming in on a motorbike, which, you know, it sort of made sense when you actually saw the game, but it was just like, what is going on here? This is very all over the place. He came on and did a kind of a fall through a fake piece of set, which was, you know, fine or whatever. And then, you know, we had some guys come on from Trials University, who was a YouTuber, sort of who specialised in that game, sort of doing tutorials for it. And they talked about how they've got streamers and speedrunners on to help them develop it. And I'll be honest, like, it did definitely grow on me. By the end of it, I was like, oh, that actually does look quite good fun. Actually, I could probably sink some time into that. That looks like a good fun title. So, you know, that was the first thing that was like really kind of like, oh, all right, okay, I might have a, you know, I might maybe look into that. Then we got the Division 2, and we got the same trailer that we'd had on the Microsoft one. And we had the whole hype fluff as well, and they're talking about sort of specializations and how you can, you know, get different weapons and stuff, and you do 8-player raids and all that kind of stuff. Then they're going to be launching 3 episodic DLCs, which are going to be free, but, you know, okay, that's fine. And yeah, a second trailer that they showed was actually, when you looked at it closely, it was literally just different camera angles of the kind of the scripted co-op section. It was like literally, I was like, hang on, yeah, no, I have seen this, and it was literally just like they must have recorded that footage and then used. So that leaned very heavily to me as though that whole thing was not actual gameplay. It was sort of pre-rendered, or potentially it was, you know, sort of pre-alpha that had been pre-rendered and then played around with. So, you know, that was okay. That's fine. Well, at least we didn't have the scripted demo this time. It was just a presentation. Back to the schizophrenic approach after that, and then we had some band come on called Critical Hits playing the theme tune to a Donkey Kong and Rabbids game, and then we also had another microphone fuck up as well.
I'm so sorry, I did not know they had changed your entrance. So
it changes every day, every second it changes.
So I mean, there were quite a few technical errors during this presentation as well, particularly with the microphones. So I mean, that was all a bit all over the place as well. Then we got Skull and Bones, which was I kind of watched it and I was like, oh, it's in the Indian Ocean, that's fine. Oh, that's good. Change up from sort of being at the Caribbean and everything. And the more it went through, I was just like, this is just Black Flag Plus. That's all this is. I'm like, oh, this is literally just this is what Black Flag should have been. It's like it looks almost like an identical engine, And it started going through. It even had the same sound effects in some of it as well. And I was like, "Oh, that's a bit cheeky, is that?" I mean, it looked okay. It did look quite good, but it was, you know, I think the ship has sailed on that one. And then we got another mic fuck up after that presentation as well. So it was just like, I was just all over the place. Was this? It really did not look finished and honed.
Lights up.
Then we got Transference VR, which was presented by Elijah Wood, of all people, and that looked spooky as fuck, and that it looked like kind of like an FMV game that you used to get on like the Mega CD and all those kind of things, and the sort of CDI, which were all terrible, but this looked like it was really quite good and like a modern day take on those, and I was actually pretty interested by that. I thought that looked very, very cool. So we'll just have to see what we get out of that one. And then we got Starlink Battle for Atlas, which kind of appeared to have some sort of weird Ubisoft interpretation of amiibos, and then it was weird. Like they had like the cool callback to Star Fox in the audio, and I was like, oh no way, yeah, the reference is Star Fox, and then suddenly Star Fox came in, and I was like, oh right, yeah, of course. It's like the force is strong with Ubisoft and Nintendo, isn't it? So yeah, it would appear Star Fox is going to be in there with all of his little squad as well. And then we had a touching little bit with Miyamoto's getting up and looking all happy and chuffed and everything, and receiving a mock-up of the Star Wing from Ubisoft. So that was all very good and touching and saccharine. But the game did look okay. The game did look quite cool, so that was all right. What didn't look quite so cool was For Honor. I kind of thought this was dead, but no, it's come back. It's still come back. And, talking about the gamers, and all their passion and love and everything else. Who's still playing For Honor? Anyone? Is anyone still playing? So yeah, they've added some people from China now, and you can have 4x4 multiplayer breaches and yeah, as I said, the music was amazing on the trailer. The music was absolutely really good on the trailer, and that was about it. Really, that really didn't tickle my beans. And then we got The Crew 2, and yep, they got all famous phrase rendered in engine. Like, this was plastered over just about every trailer at E3, rendered in engine. And I really can't put across just how meaningless that phrase is. Like, rendered in engine, that means absolutely nothing. It's a pre-rendered, you can still pre-render in a game engine, and you can still make it look nothing like the actual game. I mean, hell, I could pre-render all sorts of like 3D effects and all this kind of stuff in GameMaker, and GameMaker's a 2D engine. Like, it doesn't, if it says rendered in engine at the bottom, that is absolutely meaningless. So they just stick that on there just to try and fluff people, I guess. But The Crew 2, passion and all that kind of shebang and everything. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think The Crew did particularly well either. I think a lot of people had issue with that as well. And then for the biggest wet fart of them all, we got Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or Assassin's Creed 300, as it appeared to be. You even have Leonidas' special magic weapon. And I thought, how appropriate that Assassin's Creed now is going to be set in the Greek tragedy that it's become, because it was just yeah, it's going to be an RPG with action, choices, and character design, and blah, blah, and I was just like, oh dear God, yeah, I'm not impressed. That's fine. It's the definition of a series that has completely lost its way and has no idea what it is, what it wants to be. It's literally just a case of, I think, that Ubisoft want to make historic games and set them in different historical periods, but they're worried that nobody will buy them, so they literally just slap Assassin's Creed on the front and then make whatever hell game they want, and then hopefully people will buy it. I mean, even just like watching the supposed gameplay footage again, I had some really dodgy lip syncing in there. I saw a little bit with a horse clipping through the floor as well. So yeah, it was what it was. And then to round it off, we had the big battle at the end, and that just looked terrible. I'll be honest with you, it did not look good. There we go. So they have the big battle at the end, and then to finish out, we had this big circle jerk with everyone all stood around and all clapping and applauding and saying how amazing they all were and how happy it all is. And yeah, I don't buy it. So all in all, the Ubisoft conference was not great. I don't think it was as bad as the EA conference, but it was certainly not a patch on the Microsoft one or the Bethesda one. I mean, the Bethesda one was not as good as the Microsoft one, but this was definitely below par, and it was not brilliant. Speaking of not brilliant, next on the line we had Square Enix. Dear God, Square Enix. Wow. Okay, so their presentation was not even a presentation, it has to be said. It was just a cluster of videos jammed together very quickly, and no, I don't think anyone actually even came out on the stage and talked to anyone or anything like that. It was just not good. So it was straight off to sort of Shadows of the Tomb Raider, and all her grunting, and we got to see supposed gameplay footage of it, and it was just tragic. It was really bad. Like the AI was just not impressive, and some of the physics didn't look particularly good as well, and it was very choppy. Things would happen and sort of chop between one animation to another. So I could possibly believe that this was actually gameplay footage, because it was bad enough to be alpha footage. That there definitely needs a lot of work on polish. But yeah, it was definitely a long way from complete. They ain't releasing that anytime soon, or if they do, it's going to be a mess. But yeah, that was just not inspiring whatsoever at all. At least it wasn't just the same trailer from earlier, but at least they did chop that up and put some sort of talking in between. But all in all, very, very unimpressive. And we got Final Fantasy. I don't even know what the next one was. It was like Final Fantasy 14 X Monster Hunter World Online Plus or something. I really don't know. There was lots going on. There was lots of shouting and flashing lights and things, and that didn't really kind of make much sense to me. I'm sure people are invested in all that kind of stuff will know exactly what it is, and I'll be screaming at the monitor now. But yeah, I had no idea really what that was. That was then followed by Captain Spirit, which we've already seen this, and it had a little message from the developer in there, which was kind of sweet. But we'd already seen that footage from the Microsoft exhibit, so it was okay. So yeah, Dragon's Quest 2. I don't really know anything about the Dragon's Quest series. All I do know is that this one looked particularly sort of last gen. It did not look like a modern title at all. It really looked very, very dated in everything from presentation to graphics and everything. We also had some presentation issues with this one as well. Like there was some sort of audio bleed through from some other thing where they were talking to I don't know if it was other people talking to other interviewers, but that was bleeding through onto this, so you could hear them chatting about another game and other things as well. So all in all, that was not very, very good, but it did not look a particularly spectacular game, I've got to be honest. Then we got Babylon's 4, which was some sort of high fantasy swords and stuff, which kind of looked okay. I mean, it's by Platinum Games, so there's a solid chance it should be fairly good, but we didn't really get to actually see a huge amount of it. Just lots of sort of fairly odd stills and some motion, but no real idea of what's going on. But I mean, it's by Platinum, so it should be fairly interesting. Yeah, then we got another reveal about Nier Automata coming to Xbox, which we already knew about. Yeah, then we got Octopath Traveler, which was that pixel art RPG, which looks very, very good. It has to be said, it does look fantastic. But you know, we'd already seen that in the Microsoft presentation. So far, by that point, I mean, you know, they'd shown us Tomb Raider, which was in the Microsoft presentation, the Final Fantasy Cross Monster Hunter, that wasn't. Captain Spirit was. Dragon's Quest wasn't. Babylon's Fall wasn't. Nier Automata was, and so was that. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out of 7 presentations, more than half of them had already been featured. And there was no major significant alterations, so more than half of them had already been featured. And then we got Just Cause 4, again, which had already been featured, so that was like 5 out of 8. You know, it's just like, okay, well, we've seen all of this. Now, we did get a little bit more talking about it where they'd kind of altered the driving, and they talked about all the weather effects that they'd done and everything. But effectively, the actual trailer and all that kind of stuff was exactly the same that was at the Microsoft one. So, you know, it was like, okay. And then we got a very short trailer for The Quiet Man, which appears to be some sort of brawler, possibly, but didn't give us much away. I mean, effectively, it was a guy walking into an alley and shushing people and then punching them. But that could be literally anything. That could literally be anything. You know, there's, as far as I could tell, it was possibly a brawler, but that's as much as we've got from that. And then we got Kingdom Hearts again. So, and that was, yeah, and then we also had the same dodgy audio as well, so that leads me to believe that audio is baked in, the weird audio. So all in all, you know, that was pretty much the only thing that they showed us that wasn't in the Microsoft trailer, was The Quiet Man, Dragon's Quest 2, Babylon's Fall, and Final Fantasy XIV X Monster Hunter, and that was it. And the ones that they didn't show, there wasn't a huge amount there. So it was effectively a waste of time. Like, they could have just kicked the other stuff onto sort of Sony or onto Microsoft or something like that, and then saved themselves turning up and saving themselves everyone's wasted journey sitting there, because it was a really uninteresting presentation. It was just not good. There was nobody actually presenting anything. There was nothing. It was just a roll call of trailers that we'd already seen and a couple of others thrown in there. So that it was. Yeah, I'm going to say it was by far the worst one there. It was worse than Ubisoft's, and it was definitely worse than EA's. That was not a pleasant half an hour or 40 minutes. It was just, it was pretty tragic. So that brings us on to Sony. Right, now, okay. Sony, this was a very different affair to the Microsoft one, and it was very, very good. It was a much more intimate kind of affair, and they didn't show anywhere near as many games as Microsoft did. It was almost like the polar opposite. They only showed like maybe 4 games, but they showed them sort of quite extensively, and it was a much more intimate thing and a lot less grand. And both approaches worked really well. And I honestly, I couldn't say which one won, either the Sony or Microsoft, because they were both very, very good presentations. They put pretty much everyone else to shame. The only ones that came close were Bethesda. Both Sony and Microsoft did a really, really good job. So anyway, on with the Sony one, they started out with the guy playing banjo, which was the theme tune to The Last of Us, and that was very, very good. It was very haunting, and it was just, yeah, it was a very interesting start. The whole presentation was interspliced by little teeny tiny musical kind of interludes that were only like, 2 or 3 seconds long or 4 seconds long, that were all, but this was one of the longer ones, and this guy playing banjo for the Last of Us, and that was really good. And then we get The Last of Us 2 drop in. And a lot of people have talked about this, and I was literally blown away by this. I thought this was absolutely stunning. yeah, I can't. Yeah, I was absolutely staggered by how good this was, and particularly just coming off the back of the Square Enix Tomb Raider debacle. I was just like, oh wow, yeah, no, looks like Tomb Raider, but far better, and actually looks really good. It was visceral, it was aggressive, but anyway, there's been a lot of people talking about the kiss and everything, and about how that's a big. I just really couldn't care less about that. I think it's more important the way it was framed, rather than who the kiss was with or anything like that. I mean, she kissed a girl. Oh well, big whoop. I really don't care. I mean, it makes no difference to me whatsoever. I think the most telling part was the way that it transitioned from that real closeness and that intimacy in kind of a private kind of sort of social sort of way and in a loving way, so that it then turned around to her kind of killing that guy by holding his mouth and driving a blade into his throat very close, and that's as up close and personal as you can get, and it's like the exact polar opposite. And if you looked at her, she looked like more nervous. I don't know if this was me reading into it. She looked more nervous at doing the kissing than she did with the murdering. And I didn't know if that was kind of like some sort of flip on sort of her. They were sort of demonstrating that how her upbringing and how bizarre her childhood had been, obviously in the first game, and all the horrors she'd had to deal with there. How they were sort of saying that she's almost more comfortable with intimacy when it's kind of violent and aggressive and dangerous, and just the worst, than she is with actual nice intimacy. And I don't know if that was what they were going for there, or whether I was just reading too much into it. But yeah, that was what I sort of took away from that. I couldn't give a shit if she was kissing her or the guy or anything. It was just, yeah, that's what I kind of took away from that. And then, like I say, it went on to just blow my mind with absolutely amazing gameplay footage, and I'm pretty confident it is probably gameplay footage. It looked a little bit too jerky to be pre-rendered. It could have been, and it was definitely the solid chance it could have been. But yeah, if it was a very, very good interpretation of gameplay. But that looked really good. That was absolutely mind-blowing. Okay, and then we got Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and they're adding maps and stuff. And that was very quick and very over and done with. Then we got a load of countdown to E3 trailers, which there was loads of stuff in there, which was all cool. The height of that was Saber Beat VR for me. That's a really good game that I want to play. We then got a very short trailer for Destiny 2, The Forsaken, which had a Destiny guy. I don't know what they're called, the Knights or whatever they are, the main character dudes. He's all dead and everyone else is dead, and the bad guys are there and they're winning and they're going to a portal or something. So I'm sure that means something to someone, but not to me. So then we had this intro thing with this guy playing this Japanese pipe, and it was really, really kind of nice and haunting again, very much like we did do with The Last of Us, and then it faded into the game. And damn, Ghosts of Tsushima, I'm going to go with. Oh dear God, was that game good? That looks unbelievable. That looked as good as The Last of Us. That looked really, really good. It's like a Japanese kind of sort of RPG almost type thing, but it just looked amazing. We'll have to wait to see what the combat is actually like once you get hold of it, and what the story's like, and there's lots of other stuff. But just like as a sales pitch and to watch it, it looked phenomenal, looked really, really good. So I was very, very impressed by that. So that was another really cool game to watch. Then we had Control. I think that's what it's called. I have no idea what this game's all about, but again, this looked absolutely phenomenal with all the weird kind of walls being pulled apart and just like force powers and that was a really interesting, a really crazy ass looking game. So that looked very, very cool as well. So I'm quite interested to see what happens with that one and where that goes, because that was very interesting too. We then went from that to a trailer for Resident Evil 2, and I had no idea what the trailer was for to begin with, because you start off as a little mouse, or a little rat, crawling around, which and around here is shouting and stuff, and then it all kicks off, and suddenly you're in Raccoon City, and it's all going down. But that was a very interesting intro, and actually got me slightly interested in Resident Evil. Again, I'm not huge into zombie games, but I was like, this is very interesting, a very good presentation, and I was like, wow, okay, that was very, very good. I know a lot of people will be interested in Resident Evil, and that's it. Looked good, what we got. I mean, it was just a trailer, but yeah, it looked very interesting. Looked very, very interesting. Oh, they've got a very short little trailer for Trevor Saves the Universe, which had Batman in it, which is by the makers, by the guys that did Rick and Morty. So that's cool. I'm a fan of Rick and Morty. I've watched pretty much every episode of Rick and Morty, and yeah, it was like that was interesting. It was definitely them. It was definitely their sense of humor, to the extent that one of the characters just had Morty's voice. So we then got, again, Kingdom Hearts. This was the third chuffing trailer for Kingdom Hearts. It was slightly different this time, slightly different to the other ones we've had, but this one started with Pirates of the Caribbean, so I thought it was going to be a completely separate game, and then I was like, oh, no, there we go, and then it morphed back into Kingdom Hearts. So yeah, we got yet another trailer for Kingdom Hearts. Marvellous. Oh yeah. Yeah, and then we got the trailer for Death Stranding. Wow, okay. Hideo Kojima is off his nut. And yeah, this was one hell of a trailer. I don't know what was going on. I know it was compelling. I tell you that. I was on the edge of my seat watching this trailer. It was phenomenal. So yeah, and he's up in the climbing and the wilderness and invisible monsters and weird flicky things with glasses, and then ghosts and a fetus in a jar that's still alive. Like it was just what the hell is going on? They were very crazy ass thing, but it was very, very cool. I went away from that going, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to play that. Just because, there was a bit where the dude starts to pull his toenail off, and I was gonna throw up when he saw that. But just spectacular, weird, mesmerizing, just everything. So yes, Hideo Kojima really. Kicking into Konami there. So, cracking, really good to see. A very, very cool trailer. Very messed up and very good. Then we got a very short trailer for Neo 2, which, it was only like a little teaser trailer. And then we got a trailer for Spider-Man. And Spider-Man just looked really good. I actually really liked the look of Spider-Man. It was on like a prison, and everything was kicking off, and it was very much sort of Batman Arkham Asylum, only with Spider-Man. But yeah, it looked really good. It actually looked like a good fun game, something I would get into. I don't think I've ever got into a Spider-Man game. I was like, oh yeah, okay, this looks very, very cool. I might definitely enjoy this. So Spider-Man was very strong as well. That's just, it was a very strong presentation. They didn't have anywhere near as many games as Microsoft. In fact, a few people have sort of said that Sony had won, and a few people have said that Microsoft had won, and I don't know, because Microsoft had an awful lot more stuff, and there was some very cool stuff in there, and then they ended obviously with Cyberpunk 2077, which was my very, very good. But you look over the Sony presentation, so they had Death Stranding, which was phenomenal. They had the Spider-Man, which was very, very, very good. Then they also had Ghosts of Tsunami or whatever it was called. That was phenomenal as well. Control was really, really good. And then they also had The Last of Us, which was spectacular. So they had at least 3 spectacular trailers, earth-shattering trailers that you need to see. In fact, if you only watch one of the conferences, you need to watch Sony's conference, because it was crazy. It was so good. So they didn't have anywhere near the amount that Microsoft had, but the quality was really high. So yeah, the Sony's very close to winning. I flip-flop between the two, but Sony's presentation this year was phenomenal. Finally, that brings us to Nintendo. Okay, Nintendo's little treehouse thing. So it started out with Demon X Machina, which looked very cool. It did look quite cool. It looked very much like Vanquish. I did think this looks quite interesting with sort of mechs and all that kind of stuff. So that was very, very good. That was then followed up by Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Again, Xenoblade Chronicles. I started playing the first one, or Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think it was called, or whatever, on the Wii U. That was okay. It was all right. I didn't really get heavily into it, though, it has to be said. So, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, why not? We then got Reggie kind of pushing the Switch like a crack dealer, like just which was cool, like a socially acceptable crack dealer. And then we got some more stuff about Pokemon, the new Pokemon game that's coming out, how it sort of integrates with Pokemon Go, which I thought was very, very interesting. That was a really interesting little thing. And also the Pokeball that you can get now, which is just, yeah, okay, sure. Just more gubbins. We went straight from the Pokemon game over to Mario Party. And it's a Mario Party game, but it has to be said, like some of the cool little things that the Switch does, some of the sort of integrations looked very, very impressive. Like the sort of putting them next to each other to create one unified L-shaped level that you can all play on and things like that. That was very, very cool. I was very impressed by that. It has to be said. So kudos for him for that. Alright, so then we got Fire Emblem, and Fire Emblem was, it looked interesting, it looked very good. It was kind of like a strategy RPG kind of type game, I guess you would say. And yeah, the art style is very anime, very Japanesey, and that's all very, very cool if you're into that sort of thing. That's fine. Knock yourself out. It did look fairly interesting, so I could see why you could get into that. It was certainly the art style was very impressive. And then we get Fortnite to the Switch, so yay for Fortnite players. And then after that, Reggie did like a little mini bit between where he started talking about sort of indie titles that are coming over to the Switch. So we got Overcooked 2, which, yep, that is fine. Killer Queen Batch, which looked very, very cool. Very, very cool. And Hollow Knight as well, which we all know Hollow Knight. That's been around for a little while. It's a very, very good game. So yeah, rock on the Switch. The Switch is very much a home for the indie developers, which I like to see, definitely. Then after that, we got Octopath Traveler again, which I believe is the third time it's been shown at E3. And, so justifiably so. It does look very, very cool. So after that, we then just got like a super fast reel of games coming past, like Arena of Valor, Starlight, just all sorts, Minecraft. It was all just like a couple of seconds of each one, like as they rush past. So there was some very, very cool and interesting looking stuff there, but we didn't really get the chance to have a proper look at any of this stuff. So like Mario and Rabbit and, sort of some sort of arc pixel game, which looked kind of cool, a dance game as well. Just all sorts, Dragon Ball Z, they were just coming thick and fast, and these were all super, super fast, super short trailers, which I'll have running on the screen now while I'm jabbering over them. So yeah, they were all very, very, very cool. Just lots and lots of content for them. That was definitely very cool. I mean, there was absolutely loads in that. I'm not gonna leave it running for the whole time because you should probably go and check it out for yourself. There is an awful lot of stuff in there, but as you can see, it was all like literally over in a matter of seconds, so I can't really talk too much about each of those. And then we went on to the Super Smash Special, which is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and Wow. Okay. All right. I've never actually played a Super Smash Brothers game. I've never got into one before. It's one of those franchises that looks very, very cool, and I really would like to get into, but I've never known anyone that's into them. So consequently, fighting games can generally suck if you're on your own. So I've never really had a chance to sort of really play the Super Smash Bros. And this one looks just as good as all the others. It looks absolutely phenomenal. They're basically bringing in every fighter who's ever been in any Smash Brothers ever, which was a huge roster when they started going through them all. It was absolutely immense. Visually, the game looks really good. It's going to play really good because it's a Nintendo Smash Brothers game, so it's going to play pretty good. Whether the intricacies are there with some of the other titles, because I know some people prefer Brawl, some people prefer Melee, they all have their own little thing. So I can't talk knowledgeably about what they're doing with this, other than sort of say, well, they've got all of the characters and it looks pretty goddamn good. It has to be said. It really does. So yeah, that was definitely worth taking a look at. And I did sit through the whole thing, even though I've never played it, don't know anything about it. I sat through the whole thing, like, kind of, oh wow, well, that's cool. There's definitely something to be said for watching like Kirby beat the fuck out of Ryu, or Jigglypuff destroying Link. It's just, wow, okay, cool, I'm there, I'm sold. So that was it, and that was kind of pretty much for their whole presentation. It was it was a long presentation, but there wasn't a huge amount of presenting going on, because after that we just got like a few little interviews and then lots and lots of talking about Smash Brothers. I mean, the Smash Brothers thing went on for ages, like 25-30 minutes, if not more, maybe even about 40 minutes, talking solely about Smash Brothers. And then after that, they just went on to talking about Pokemon, and they just talked about the Pokemon game that had been already sort of shown and teased during the actual presentation. So that was that, and neither of and certainly the Pokemon game really doesn't have any major draw for me. And then that was about it. That was all there was for Nintendo. So Nintendo's was okay. I mean, they did show a lot of games there in the middle, and there was some of the good stuff. It was a relatively strong showing, but not anywhere near as good as Sony, and certainly not as good as Microsoft as well. So I think definitely if it was to rank the whole things, I would really struggle to pick between Sony and Microsoft. I would really struggle. This year they were really toe for toe. They were absolutely amazing. And then Bethesda was a close behind them, sort of in a third position, whichever way that would drop. Then it was Nintendo, and then and Nintendo's was good. I enjoyed watching Nintendo's. It was really enjoyable. But then just in the dust, miles and miles away in the shadow, was EA and Square Enix, because both of them were utter garbage. Really poor viewing. So yeah, so that was E3 2018, all done and dusted. Highlights were definitely Octopath trailer, pretty much everything that Sony showed, or certainly all the major ones that Sony showed, like Ghost and The Last of Us 2, and sort of the weird Kojima game. That was really cool. Cyberpunk 2077, and yeah, that was about it really. Oh, I did really like the look of the Fox Zelda game. I can't remember what that one was called now. The one that looked like a fox in Zelda World. I don't know. That was like an indie title. That was a very cool looking game as well. So yeah, that was about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you've made it all this way through to the end of me rambling through E3 footage. So yeah, it was good this year. It has to be said, it was good. I would strongly recommend watching the Microsoft and Sony ones, because they were very good, particularly Sony ones. Yeah, you go and do that. And I would probably give the others a miss, unless you've got anything significant in there. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for making it through to the end if you did. And yes, I will see you very soon. So take it easy, guys. I'll see you later. Bye bye.